All right, I've had probably 25 guests on, but nothing like what's about to happen. Nobody understands the chaos that is about to ensue. I need to find a parental advisory sticker on my Canva app to put that on the edit. One of my really good friends, um, and before I introduce him, I want to tell you why. He is one of the few white men I have met in my whatever 20, 25 years that goes out of his way to genuinely connect with the young black athlete. And I brought on John Clancy, who was at Niles North, Western Illinois, Southern Illinois, maybe out of order a little bit. And now he's at Ball State. Oh, excuse me. He was head coach at Triton. Now he's an assistant at Ball State. The man, the myth, the legend. I've been waiting for this all weekend. Coach Clancy, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on.
So I'm so excited. And you're in Muncie, Indiana. What the hell is there to eat in Muncie, Indiana?
Shockingly, there's really good food options. Coming from Macomb, Illinois, Western,
Yeah.
we didn't have a lot going on. I'm a simple dude, but like Texas Roadhouse, Chili's, we got a couple
Mm.
local spots that are good. Yeah, so we eat pretty good here at Ball State University. I've been very fortunate. Muncie, I had never been down here before. But blown away with how nice the campus is and our resources. And then the town is a college town, but being in the state of Indiana, I've coached everywhere in Illinois. Indiana is a basketball state, and you can kind of feel it. Like there's a buzz around campus about our season starting, and it's exciting to be somewhere that basketball is so important. So very blessed to be at Ball State.
How far east are you guys of Indianapolis?
It's about an hour. Indy's way more spread out than I thought. So like the one side of Indy is about 45 minutes away, and then to get to the Indy airport, it's about like an hour five, hour 10.
Oh, it's
So
not
not
bad.
no, not bad at all. And it's 3.5 hours to Chicago for me. The biggest adjustment's been Eastern time zone, dude. I didn't think an hour time
Oh, that's
difference would make
right.
that. Yeah, the Bears played Monday night last week, and I had to fall asleep at halftime. I couldn't stay up that late, man. I'm too old for that.
How far away are you guys from Cincinnati?
It is a couple hours.
Not
Yeah.
far.
So, no, not far. Yeah. So yeah, we recruited in Ohio in June, Sandusky, Ohio, and yeah, shot through there. But yeah, it's nice to be in a different state and different place, and yeah, really, really like what we got going on here.
Who's Ball State's biggest rival?
Um, So regionally, like in the MAC, it's I think Toledo and Ohio, Kent State, like those seem to be some of the bigger ones. I coached in the Missouri Valley and the Ohio Valley. I've watched a
Mhm.
ton of MAC basketball, but yeah, kind of getting situated here. It seems like some of those Ohio schools seem to be. We're the only Indiana school in the MAC, so
What's Evansville and Indiana State? What
they are in the Missouri Valley Conference, but we play both of those schools this year on the road in non-conference. So those will be big in-state rivals, and then we actually just signed a contract with Southern Indiana for next year, and there's talks with some more regional rivalries. So for us mid-majors, travel-wise and all those things, we want those things. So it's hard to schedule at our level, but yeah, we got Indiana State and Evansville on the schedule this year, but they're both in the Missouri Valley Conference.
um what's it like being able to see all these big dudes? I mean, dude, it's all dude like, you were recruiting certain type of kids at Western,
Yeah.
but like you stepped it up now, right? You're in the MAC, so
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing, and it's hard, in all my times is recruiting size, right? And you want to get the best players you can. Obviously, when I coached at SIU, the landscape was much different. There was no NIL. That's changed the whole landscape of this thing. And it's in the MAC schools have money, and the top schools have a lot of money, a lot more money than we have. But at the same time, I went from a place, Western Illinois, where we had $0, like nothing, and now we're able to pay some guys, and with that, just because you have some money, you got to make sure you still are recruiting the same guys. So, the right guys, and it brings a new set of problems. I talk to more agents than I ever had to talk to before. It's a lot of these kids are represented, and you change with the times. And I think my junior college background has really paid dividends for me with this landscape, because you have a whole new team every single year, right? At the mid-major level, you're able to pay these guys some money, but if they have good years, there's P4 schools that are offering money that they can't turn down, and here we celebrate that. We want those guys. This could be the most money they make in their entire basketball career in college now. So some coaches get mad when guys leave, but I don't think that's the approach to have, and that's not the approach we have here. And then the kids that don't play that much here are probably looking for opportunities to play more. So every year you're going to see a roster where you're recruiting 9, 10 guys. You're not going to coach guys for 4 years anymore. And I think you see more junior college coaches now getting opportunities at the Division I level
Yep.
because of the changing landscape.
Um, NIL, I can't believe I mean, the kids deserve it, first of
They
all, but
do. I mean, the money they generate for these schools, and now they open Pandora's box, and there's no real rules or regulations, and it'd be interesting to see how it's constantly changing. By the time you think you have the rules sorted out, they're changing again on you, right? So I think adaptability is really important, and it's a fluid situation, right? So being able to adapt on the fly, and do the best that you can within the parameters you can. I mean, that's the guys that I know. There's a lot of people bitter and upset about it, but it is what it is. And you either change or you die in this profession. So I do think these guys deserve a piece of the pie, and for what they do, and what the exposure they give these universities, and then the TV deals and all that kind of stuff. It's good to see them getting paid, but it'd be nice to have, I don't know what it'll be, contracts down the line where if a high major takes a mid-major kid, maybe there's a buyout where the mid-major is not just caught with, losing a really good player that they helped develop, but there's something
interesting.
reciprocated,
I like
so
that. That's
it'll be
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting how it kind of changes, and it'd be nice to know. We still don't know a couple guys on our roster. Do they get this year back? They play junior college, or is that, and then there's talk of 5 for 5 now, so giving kids 5 years. But it would just be nice to know what those rules are, because it changes the way in which we recruit. We don't know what we need per se until we find out if some guys have exhausted eligibility or not.
So when it comes to recruiting, you like a kid, usually probably a kid in the portal because they're older. How do you go about it? You have to find out who their agent is and then contact their agent now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't talk to any of these kids until they hit the portal. But at the same time, there's you always hear rumblings, but there's just a lot more. Recruiting before used to be you talk to their high school coach, you would talk to their
Yeah.
AAU guy, their skills guy, their parents, things like that. And honestly, we still take that approach. Like, if we're recruiting a kid, it's become like a speed dating relationship, and
Yep.
you have to do it in a quick period of time. But at the same time, I think you need to be thorough, not just in your evaluation of them as a player, but like, do they really love basketball? Is this, everybody says they want to be a pro, but it's amazing how many dudes don't work like pros, right? Like, do what pros do. It's easier said than done. But for us, we still try to cultivate those relationships, get to know, even if a kid's in the portal, we're still going to talk to their high school coach, which may have coached them 4 or 5 years ago, or
Yep.
their AAU guy. And then obviously, getting to know a kid's family, I think is really important. So a lot of people say it's so just transactional now, but I didn't get into this for the transaction part of it. Like, cultivating real relationships is still important. It just looks a little different. And at the end of the day, it could be a former Triton player of mine. And, if we're offering $200,000 less than some other school is, I'm going to probably tell that kid for the best thing for them
Yeah, man.
potentially is that. But I think these kids also have to weigh the factors of, short-term and long-term earning potential. Yeah, you can go to a high major, but if you're not going to play that much, how does that set you up if you really want to have a pro career? Where if you're an all-league guy at a mid-major level, you're probably starting at a higher point in your pro career by taking a little less money now. So I think those are all things that have to get discussed openly. And that's my thing's always been about the relationships with this. Whether I was coaching at St. Viator High School, Niles North High School, Wheeling High School, or now in the MAC at Ball State University, having real relationships and genuine relationships still really matter to me. And I'm fortunate my boss believes the same way here at Ball State. He's awesome. His name's Mike Lewis, was a all third team Big Ten point guard for Bobby Knight. So to hear the Coach Knight stories is awesome. And he's a fiery guy like I am, and
No.
I know that's an old school approach, but I like guys that coach, have some passion and energy, and still the relationship piece matters to us here at Ball State. So we're not just taking guys, hey, they put up this amount of numbers, like we're going to get to know that kid and make sure they fit us because we do things a little differently here.
I want to share a John Clancy story.
Oh boy, this could go a lot of directions.
Cover your ears. Just joking. So children, dads, aspiring college coaches. This man went down to Carbondale and got paid in potato chips. Struggled, walked away from a nice teaching salary. If you don't know, in the state of Illinois, we get paid real well as a teacher.
I was in one of the highest paying
You
districts.
were, you were, you
Mm-hmm.
were at Niles Township. Um, and every time I would talk to Clancy, never complained. He made jokes about eating maybe bologna,
On a
but
good day.
on a good day. But dude, this guy, those of you that don't want to pay your dues or whatnot, this dude literally was going to work every day like he was a paid assistant, maybe even more than a paid assistant, and never complained, kept his head down and grinded and grinded and grinded. And he built relationships. The only people I've ever met that don't like John Clancy are people that don't like me as well. Um, and that's because we're misunderstood. End of the day, the only thing that matters to Clancy and myself um, is watching these kids become great husbands and fathers. We get to use this vehicle called basketball, which is so cool, right? Um, but all of you that think like this shit's just like given, unless you played at a high level, like, Shire went back and was on Coach K's bench. Bryant McIntosh is on Chris's bench. Um, Levante Doherty, he played at Valpo, right?
Yep, he
He's at
did.
he's at Valpo.
Yep.
Um, this is what it takes. There's a few guys. There's you, and you know who the other guy I talk about is?
Who's that?
Kevin Devitt.
Yeah, Devitt's been over. Man, I remember him when he was a freshman. I was the head coach at Wheeling, and he was a freshman coach at Lane Tech, and then he went to Roosevelt. And no, it's awesome to see guys that we didn't land on third base, right? And
Yep.
sometimes you got to have the courage to chase your dreams. And honestly, my family, outside of my mom, who recently passed, my dad's a basketball junkie. My brother is. But they were like, man, what are you doing? And, my first year in Carbondale, I was fortunate to get on. I went from high school to Division I and didn't, I had a house in Palatine. I put it up for sale.
You did.
I lived on a guy's couch, Brad Autry, who got me really into college coaching. And then I was fortunate Barry Hinson gave me a spot on his staff. And, it's one of those deals. I was 30 years old and, which is late to get into the college game, I guess. But, dude, my mom was like, hey, chase your dreams. And,
Right.
I hear her say it to me every single day, even though she's not with us anymore. And believe me, it's a roller coaster ride. There's been good days, bad days, good years, bad years. And you just kind of stay in the fight. And I've been very fortunate. Now you give up some things I'm 40. I'm not married, no kids. It's a tough profession to have
That you know
stability.
about.
What's that?
I said kids that you know about.
This is a true statement. Yes. But I've been fortunate that the journey it hasn't been just a trajectory of like, hey, like you just got when I first started SIU, I thought, I'd be at a high major level now. And then, we had 4 pretty good years at SIU. And next thing you know, I'm without a job and I'm back home collecting unemployment as a volunteer assistant for Steve Christensen at Triton College. But if I don't do that year, I don't get the head job at Triton 2 years later. So, it's being able to stabilize, the good with the bad. And at the end of the day, like, you got to be passionate and energetic. But for me, I've always wanted to be the coach that I never had. You know what I mean? That's the approach I've taken, and it's about these kids' experiences. And then for me, this is a lifelong relationship. It's not like I coach a kid and then it's done and over with. It. The best part is seeing these guys go on to be it's cool when they make it to the pros, whatever level of pro
Yep.
basketball. But when you get invited to their weddings, or some of these guys now, I'm getting so old, they're getting into coaching and they're calling me, and that's the stuff. The wins and all that stuff is great. I'm a competitive psycho. I love winning, but at the same time, when you look at it, it's like, man, you're helping change some lives and give some kids some opportunities maybe they wouldn't have gotten, and just invest in them. On the court, off the court, all that stuff matters. Really getting to know these dudes, and no, I've been very blessed, and hopefully we can continue on the trend we are, and see where this thing takes us.
Um, Give me one of your favorite coaching moments.
Um, like, I mean,
I
there's like
know there's so many, all of
that,
you, there's
like,
so many.
yeah,
But come
it's
on, give me one.
I would say I remember. So when I got the head job at Triton, they had just become a Division I JUCO a couple of years prior, and the goal was to get to the national tournament, right? And I didn't know if we could do it in our first year. So we get there, and it was more of a sense of relief, but we got there and we win our first game by like 30 something points, and now we're playing. An Indian River team from Florida that was the 6th seed overall. We had just gotten in as in a large team, so we were a little bit of like the last team in type thing, and next thing you know, we win that game. And now we're playing Kilgore had 4 high major players. We're down 11-2 a minute into the game. And I'm like, the run's over, right? Cinderella's is done. And my assistant at the time, who's now the head coach, one of my best friends, Brian Burns, I'm like, dude, we can't stop these cats. And he had hated, and we ran it during the year, a 1-3-1 zone. And we ended up going to it. We won that game, and like getting to a Final Four in our first year for those guys, and what it did, not only like for Triton, but like those guys in junior college, if you get to the national tournament, they get exposure. Every Division I's at Hutchinson, Kansas, right? And like, my thing was like, if you guys believe in me, I'm going to get you guys. And after that, so winning that game was great, but the calls and the offers, so that bus ride home, our game ended at like 11:30, and that night 6 guys got Division I offers that didn't have Division I offers coming in. And so everybody be like, oh, you're happy you went to the Final Four. No, I was happy because I knew that those guys just changed the course of their lives.
Yep.
So that bus ride home, we had the boom box going, probably some Chief Keef going, some Love Sosa, but like just to see the genuine joy, like, group had. And then, we're going to a Final Four, like we're competing, we're 40 minutes away from a national title, but like everybody saw like the win, but like the coolest thing was the bus ride home, and to see 6 guys get offers from Pacific on the West Coast to Southern Miss to it was all over. These guys, like, it was like, man, the work and their belief, they believed in a first year head coach. Like, they didn't have to come to Triton, and all of a sudden, like, one game changed 6 kids' lives. And that was probably like the coolest, most vivid thing that still stands out to me. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
It's exactly what I expected was a selfless answer. It's exactly what I expected out of John Clancy. Um, Clancy, tell me you go to these high school open gyms.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're looking for.
Obviously physical attributes stand out. If anybody says differently, like there's so many kids that can play, and
Yep.
kids are specializing earlier and earlier now. Like, I think the skill level of kids is at an all-time high, the athleticism.
Yep.
All those things like that's first and foremost, right? But really, when I watch a kid, the things that stand out like competitive fire, like does he win a sprint? How does he react when things don't go well? And then the thing that's the lost art, and it's at all levels of college basketball. I talk to guys at the high major level, mid major, low major, D3. I've got buddies coach every level who communicates on the floor. We live in a society now, like these kids have their phones all the time, they text, they're on social media, but opening their mouths and being able to communicate covers up so many things on a basketball court, both offensively and defensively. So it's weird. I like to see a kid, it's great to see a highlight tape where a kid looks good. I've never seen a bad highlight tape in my life, right? But that gets your foot in the door with me. But then I'm going to watch 3 or 4 games. I'm going to come watch you practice. I don't just ask for a kid's best games. Let me see what his worst looks like and how does he react when things don't go his way. So it's some of those things that maybe these kids, they think it's just about scoring the basketball or what was my stat line. But I like to recruit guys that have winning DNA. And in my mind, winning DNA is obviously you got to be talented, but you have to be tough. You have to communicate on the court. And how do you react? Basketball is a game where failure happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
How do you get to the next thing? How do you get to the next play? Those things. What kind of teammate are you? Like I don't like kids that are front runners. They hit a couple threes, they're hooting and hollering, they're the best teammate ever. Now all of a sudden they miss a couple shots or they turn the ball over and now they're a different dude. Like who
I
are
love
those
you. God, I
everyday
love
dudes,
you.
man?
I love you. I mean,
That's
to the
you
T.
said that really heartfelt too. I appreciate that. I love you too.
Um, so you talk everything you talked about. So um Saturday, I took Jonah down to Champagne
Yeah.
and we're sitting there and most people would be like, oh my God, Dude, I don't give a shit about kids, right? I mean, they're kids at the end of the day. I'm
For sure.
44. I have
Yeah.
bills and I try to cheat my taxes. Like, come on, man. So, um, I sent this to a coach to give Coach Underwood.
Okay.
I'm going to read it to you because everything you just said kind of sparked it. Dear Coach Underwood, go fuck yourself. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Um, Dear Coach Underwood, thank you. Most people that are privileged enough to soak up a Big Ten practice are fans of the Illini. I sat there yesterday afternoon with my son watching your culture. My favorite part was when you would yell about something that was not up to the program's expectations, and then seconds later you moved on. Your whole practice was just about the kids, their communication, their hustle. I kept explaining to my son, Jonah, that there are a few non negotiables when going to war. First, you and your teammates/soldiers must communicate at all times. The second is that your energy carries the rest of the platoon. When one drags, the rest fall. Thank you for evolving with these kids, but also keeping the old school mentality that is still needed to be successful in today's dog eat dog society. And when you said what you said, like that goes to you too. Like
Yeah.
that's what it's about. Like I'm not a
Yeah.
listen, dude.
Yeah.
I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck about a coach, a jersey. I went to Roosevelt and Northeastern. Okay.
Yeah.
My dad went to Tri-State University, which is now Trine. Okay.
Okay.
So sports wasn't a thing. So I don't give a fuck about that. What I care is watching men like you, Coach Underwood, um, still deliver what is needed to be not only successful, but on top.
Yeah.
Everyone can be successful, shit. But to be on top takes what you just talked about, the communication skills, the discipline. Um, and it's hard to find, man. Like I texted Dismukes about this. Like you guys are going all over the place, finding great communicators, finding here like Trey Brost, the kid at Bowman.
Yeah.
I met
Yeah.
him the
Tough
other
kid.
day.
Yeah.
He walks up, shakes my hand. smiles, knows how to communicate. Like that's a winner. I don't even need to
Yeah,
know anything about him. That's a winner.
no doubt.
And then you have kids that walk by you. And it's not that they're an asshole. They have zero awareness of society.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because I want you to explain that you walk right past those kids. I mean,
Yeah, it's one. Well, and to go back, like Coach Underwood runs a championship program. I'm fortunate. I'm actually really close with his son Tyler, and you know, some parallels I have with Coach is he spent 10 years as an assistant coach at West. Like everybody sees what he's doing at Illinois, right? And he was
that
successful at
Western.
Oklahoma State and Stephen F. Austin. But Tyler Underwood was born and raised for well part of his childhood in Macomb, Illinois, when Coach Underwood was an assistant grinding it out there.
Yep.
Prior to that, he was a head junior college coach in Kansas. So, I think Coach Underwood, although he's at the top now, like he hasn't lost sight of who he was to become this guy, right?
Yep.
And I think his big thing, like everyday dudes, and you see now he's getting, a lot of these Serbian players or Eastern European or Balkan guys, and it fits him, right? They're tough, they know how to play, and he's adapted with the times and the NIL culture probably better than anybody. But when it comes to recruiting, where obviously they're going to get a different caliber player than we can
Yep.
here. But at the same time, some of those attributes and traits, they don't change. Basketball is basketball, right? You can see a kid who has winning DNA, and there's these kids now are, they change AAU teams, they change high schools, they do all these different things, and like I think the talent has never been better, but the competitive fire of these kids, like you have to find guys like having a motor is now it's not, like my expectation was, and I wasn't a great player by any means. I was a good high school player. I played D3, but like playing hard was a non-negotiable. But now when the kid plays with a motor, that really stands out to you. That's a recruitable trait. Like, does that kid do that all of the time? Like motors get guys paid a lot of money now in college basketball and in the NBA, and that's one of those deals where you have to be thorough, in the recruiting process of, what really makes a kid tick, and how do they communicate, and you don't always shoot 100% in recruiting. There's times kids surprise you in a good way and in a bad way. But for me, what I look for, obviously the talent, the measurables, all those things stand out. But what really drives a kid, can they talk to you in the eye? Do they shake your hand? Some things that are becoming, maybe, um, and these kids' defense, maybe they're not being taught that either, right? But whether it's,
Oh, they're not, bro. They're
yeah,
not.
they don't have a mom or dad at home, their coaches don't hold them accountable, whatever it might be. So, but when those kids are able to do those things, they stand out. I'd be willing to take a kid with a little more talent that I know has got, a little more shit to them as far as competitive drive. They're intrinsically motivated, but they can communicate. Because I honestly, the longer I've done this, I think the talent's gotten better, all those things. But I think the communication piece, getting these kids to talk. If you came to a Ball State practice, like it's not so much about our execution or making shots. It's getting these guys to communicate on both sides of the ball. And, when you can recruit a kid that already has that, and those player-led teams, I think, are the most successful. If it's just coming from the coach at some point, the coach has to emulate that, but you got to get your players to do that. And the teams that talk the most typically have the most success from what I've seen in my time in college and high school coaching.
What's crazy is that we say all this shit until we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
And these kids are like, I don't know, man. I blame their fathers. I do. I
Yeah.
blame their
Yeah.
fathers, man. I'll
Yeah.
say it.
Now, again, I was fortunate to be raised by the mom and dad in the suburbs of Chicago. And, my life looks a lot different than the student athletes that I recruit at anywhere I've been. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's a trainable thing. And
Yeah,
both,
man. I mean,
you, but some guys just have it, right? When you see a point guard that can run the show and do all these things, and then you get other guys, it's just amazing. If you can get two guys to do it, then it's contagious, man. It's just like energy, right? It's amazing how it can permeate throughout your team. But getting two guys to do it, we all want all of our guys to talk. If you can get two guys to do it, then it starts to happen, and we're starting to see that here. Our communication's getting much better, and you show them film. Some kids you gotta find ways these kids learn, and the film don't lie. So there's different things. Coach, I see this, that, the other, while you're coaching them live in practice. But we spend a lot of time both collectively with our team and then individually our position group, just really trying to emphasize the communication piece, because I truly believe it's a lost art in the game of basketball currently.
You know, so I keep going to all these different practices,
Yeah.
and how do I say this? It's very interesting how different they are
Yeah.
in terms of culture. And when I mean that, I mean, you're good. Um, it's just weird. Like I was at Illinois practice, right?
Hmm.
Okay, let me start off like this. I've been to Northwestern practice with my son several times.
Okay.
Open door, very nice. But it wasn't like being at Champaign, bro. Like Underwood was so loving to Jonah. Um, so were his assistants. Um, Underwood came up and Jonah told him how you're not allowed to shake hands with a man if they're sitting down, right? And to
Yeah.
me, I wanted to share that because he's 7.
Yeah.
And all these people in the North Shore and around here think like I'm this like crazy dude. I dad better than anyone else on the planet. My dude will look you in the fucking eye. He will punch you in your goddamn face if you talk.
Yeah.
And he knows. Like, so we were at, I forgot whose practice, and they started yelling. And I looked at Jay and I go, what do you do when a coach does that? He goes, look him in the eye and say, yes, coach. I'm like, bro, like I get chills, right?
Yeah. It's no, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Right. And he loves it. And I want this for all children. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking about making a huge mistake and coaching a high school AAU team this spring with Josh Anderson from Lincoln Park.
Okay.
Um, Here's another great thing to bring up. So I'm talking to Josh, his dad's number and all that's retired
Yeah.
at Champaign. So, I look up in the rafters and I see it. And I say to Josh, I said, do your players know that your dad's number and that's retired? He's like, no. I'm like, not your fault, but that is why this game is so fucked because these kids don't respect what's come before them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But
and I
they
was
know
like,
the trend. They know the latest TikTok trend dance, I'm
yes,
sure,
yes.
right? So yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Like when I was at King, these kids, I'm trying to say this with a straight face. The point guards never sat down with Amari Sawyer and just talked
Man,
to
I
him.
watched him when I was a freshman at Buffalo Grove High
I,
School. King came to the Thanksgiving tournament. I was on the freshman A team, and we actually my sophomore year we played King, but it was after Amari Sawyer and Leon Smith was on that
yeah,
team live.
yeah, yeah.
Amari Sawyer was one of the best high school players I've ever seen play live.
Bro.
Incredible.
And these kids,
At their own high school, don't know what. Yeah, 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 no
he
doubt.
worked in the school as well. So he's there all day.
Is he really?
I don't know if he's still there because I'm
Yeah,
in heaven,
yeah.
but um, yeah, like, and for me, I tell the story. I got hired November 12th. November 13th, I show up.
Okay.
I have my first period class. Where did I go second period when I was off?
See Amari Sawyer.
Immediately.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
I went around the school. And I found him and I go, come here.
Yeah,
And I hugged him and I said, just lay him on me, dude. Just tell
yeah,
me all the basketball shit.
for sure, man. Sonny Landon Cox coaching him in his
Right?
three-piece suit, man. Like, yeah.
Dude, they're I think in a few weeks they're retiring Marcus Liberty's number there.
Okay.
And
Great player.
I can think of a million other numbers before his. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what he's first. Um, Jamie Brandon, I would have retired his number.
for sure, for sure.
Rashard Griffith,
Yeah,
um, Johnny Selvey. I mean, dude, I can go. As you can tell, I'm a junkie.
yes.
Um, I don't know, man. That's what I think is missing with all these kids. Like I asked Levante Doherty, I'm like, do those dudes know who you were as a player over there? He's like, I tell him, like, come on, man.
Yeah. Especially when you have more information at your hands. You don't have to go back to newspaper, you don't have to go to the library to look up newspaper clippings. Like
No.
yeah, it's crazy as far as, and maybe it's just like us getting older, but like, like I'll throw out a name that like I was like, man, like, dude, he was unbelievable. And our guys are like, who was that? Like, it's a different era. And with having more information at your hands, maybe there's more distractions. Like the amount of guys that haven't seen the movie Hoop Dreams or Blue Chips on my team, I
Bro,
was like, then so I try to culture these guys a little bit. They'll come back and be even he got game, like not like dude, these guys don't know. And then they come back to me and like that was awesome. Like, yeah, it's a different deal, man.
dude, he got game, lays down the New York basketball scene for you.
For sure. For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like Lincoln High School is a legit big time fucking high school in
Yeah.
New York. Um, I have kids that told me at King they never watched He Got Game. And I said, dude, you guys are pathetic. I
It's
told them, I
crazy,
said,
man.
pathetic.
Yeah.
Pathetic. You don't know about Arthur and William Gates, Luther Bedford. Like, come on, man. All those
Yeah.
legends.
Yeah. And you got your guy TK, Tom Kleinsmith's in Hoop Dreams a lot. He's gonna be on your show later this week, man.
I have his basketball card. I'm going to show him.
Nice.
Is that
Nice.
awesome? I
That
found
is
him.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna go.
he's one
Who
of the
is this guy?
best, man.
He was, you know what? I wonder if his kids at DePaul Prep realize how good he was.
I don't think they do. Like
I
he
mean,
was what
legendary.
legendary. And yeah, I mean, I remember it was awesome. My dad actually played 16-inch softball with TK once he got done playing in college. But like we would go to DePaul games. Like I grew up going, and it was at Rosemont Horizon,
And
and those
Rosemont.
places were
Yes.
packed. They're playing since Cincinnati, and Bobby Huggins is the coach, and like man, TK was the baddest dude out there, man, baddest dude out there.
He was so good. Dude, I can't wait for Wednesday. I don't think I'm gonna get a word in.
You got a good crew, man. Those are some basketball minds and basketball junkies like us that
So
have
I
won it
know
in
none
elite
of them
level.
watch this because they don't understand technology. But did I tell you who I have surprising them like 10 minutes in?
No, I saw your special guest was on the
You
graphic. I
ready
didn't know.
for it?
Yeah, what do you got?
Rick Malnati.
Oh, nice. Another high school. Man, that's something else. Like the longer I've been in college, there's great coaches at the college level, but I think like the Chicagoland area doesn't get enough credit for the quality of high school coaches they have,
That's
man.
why
Like
we're here.
it's
Oh,
it's insane. I mean, you just had Glenn Olson on, and that dude, what he's done at Maine East and Niles North, he does not get enough credit for. And I got to be a part of his staff for 3 years, and we're playing against just juggernaut programs. New Trier, Maine South was so good at the time. Like, but the coaching, it was just. I mean, some of those guys would coach circles around guys in college game, and I mean that wholeheartedly, and that's no
100%, man.
disrespect, but like I think we're spoiled and don't appreciate enough the Gene Heidkamps of the world, the Kleinschmidts of the world, because those dudes are high level ball coaches, man. And they do it year in and year out, and not always with the most talent either. You know what I mean? They just find ways to win, and when you watch those teams play, they're well coached, man. They're 100% well coached.
I have Bros coming on too, man. Like,
Stud, absolute stud. I
yeah,
mean, he does stuff with USA basketball, and
yep,
I ran into him. I went and watched his son play AAU in Atlanta, and I was flying back to Indy and got to talk to coach for a while. Like, there's just so many guys that if they chose college as a profession, they'd be highly successful at it because um,
100%.
yeah,
Which
the
he
Chicago
might now with his kids being older.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But big time coaches in the state of Illinois and in the Chicagoland area, and I know firsthand because I had to go up against those guys in my time as a high school coach.
Yeah, I grabbed what's his name too, Brandon Brown, the new HF coach.
Yeah, great dude. He was an assistant for a former player of mine, Mike O'Keefe, who's now the head coach at St. Viator. And coach got his start out at Viator, and then very cool to see him taking over an HF program. That's one of the most storied programs in the state.
I know my wife, she's a teacher there, and basketball has an advantage when it comes to grades.
Okay. Okay. Well, I also know that that school is one of the most beautiful high schools I've ever been in.
Dude, it's
Um,
unbelievable. That's where
it
Kia
is
went.
it's crazy. I mean, their facilities, obviously when JD was there, I'd stop in there a lot. HF always has players and to see
Oh,
Jimmy.
hold on.
Yeah,
That's your boy.
that's my guy. JD. Yeah, me and
Yeah,
Jameer.
dude. He
Yeah,
said he goes, when I was talking on my pod, I was like, I was like, and John Clancy, it's like, what?
yeah.
Clancy's my guy. And I was like, dude,
No,
I was like,
dude,
dude,
I love it.
dude.
And you could tell from a lot, like I watched him coach AAU with Team Rose, then over with Mean Streets and what he did at HF. Like, he's going to be a rising star in college coaching. There is no doubt about that. So yeah, I might need a job with JD here in a few years. Who knows how that goes? But JD is going to be a stud and he's in a good situation at LIU Brooklyn. And I would expect them to make a run in the NEC and have a chance to be watching him play in the NCAA tournament this year. But
Man,
he's a guy, man, worker, always trying to learn, call, ask questions, and yeah, he was also a JUCO guy at Indian Hills for one of my best friends, Hank
yep.
Plonia, who's now the coach of Western Kentucky. So yeah, very cool to see JD get his chance at Division One. I knew it was coming sooner than later, and I think he's in a really good situation.
Rod
Rod
Strickland.
Strickland, pretty good guy to, yeah, his
Um,
contacts, connections, and yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
wish, right? Like,
Someday, Londo, someday for you, buddy.
yeah, well, I mean, we'll see, dude.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not worried about it. I'm just patient and I'm doing it the right way.
no doubt, man. That's
Totally the most unconventional way of doing it.
yeah.
I'm doing it, bro.
Hey, but
Um,
sometimes you gotta find you find a way or find an excuse, and you gotta forge your own path, man.
Somebody said to me, they go, "You want to be a college coach?" I'm like, "Yeah, eventually, if it's the right spot." And they go, "You need to have kids." Then I go, "Now, bro, I have access to fucking kids." Like,
Yeah,
um, but and it's not what you know, it's who you know.
it is, man. Your network's very important. And one thing
100.
I would say, like any of these young guys that watch this, coaches, aspiring,
Yep,
like just everybody always tried. And early on, I did the same thing when I was at SIU, like worrying about what's next. And it's like
yep,
my biggest advice, and guys, now that I'm getting older, like, and I've done it at different levels, like dude, I know it's cliche, but like be where your feet are, but be really good where you're at, man. Like,
yeah,
and you have to enjoy it. Like that sometimes if you just look ahead, it's the thief of joy in terms of, like, dude, I get to do some really cool stuff. Like, like sure, would you love to be at Indiana or Illinois or Duke or those things? Like, but man, like when I first started this thing 10 years ago, if you would have told me you're an assistant at Ball State making pretty good money in a good situation at a place like it's very cool. But like the same way I was at Niles North with the passion and being driven by relationships, it's the same thing I'm doing now, right? It's just on a different scale. But like instead of worrying about what's next, just be great where you are. And if
yep,
you do those things, man, and you do right by these kids and
right,
you work, I think some people just want it to happen so fast that my biggest advice to coaches would just be, man, like be great where you are.
yep,
Everywhere you are is the big time. Like, I was doing laundry at Triton as the head coach. Like, like we got some managers here, like want to get into college coaching and like, you got to do some stuff, that you got to be a get shit done kind of guy. Like
right,
those guys are invaluable. And, but yeah, so many people worry about what's next. It really takes the joy out of it. And if you're able to like kind of embrace the moment, I think it's like, man, I get to do something pretty cool every single day. And some days are better than others. And, but yeah, that would be my biggest thing. Don't chase what's next. Just be great where you are, and good things come. And sometimes it takes a little more, takes a little longer than you want, but no, I'm a firm believer. You kind of create your own luck by doing stuff the right way.
Listen, people that I knew hated on me when I started this little thing
Yeah.
are now asking to be on the podcast.
If you ain't got haters, you ain't popping. But that's amazing how it can change. It's a short walk from the outhouse to the penthouse, Londo.
Hey man, listen, only thing, and we're gonna get to you. We're about to wrap up, and you're gonna answer this. But the only thing I want when I die, excuse me, when I get assassinated,
Okay.
I will be assassinated. Um, I want adults and children to remember me as a guy that went out of his way to provide opportunities for other people to be successful.
Yeah, I think that's what it should be about, right? That's what anybody that, if you're a coach, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you wear so many different hats.
Yep,
But that's, I think so many people get wrapped up in the wins and losses. And believe me, I want to win. I am not
of
in
course.
this to lose, but to have a legacy and to be remembered as
Yep,
somebody that would go above and beyond and cared about them as more than players, as people. That's the stuff I think at the end that really matters, and that is, the legacy. I think I'm very similar to what you have of, this thing is a lifelong relationship thing for me. Guys,
yep,
even guys that transfer, or maybe I got on as like, I want them to know I held them to a standard. I helped them. They sometimes don't realize it while you're coaching them, but a few years down the line, it's amazing to get the calls, the texts, the invites to
yep,
weddings, the coach, thanks for pushing me through that, or thanks for just being there for me. Some of these kids don't have somebody there for them. And, that it goes far beyond the court, man. But I think when you show you care about these kids, truly, like genuinely, it's amazing how much harder and how much more you can get out of them on the basketball court as well. So I think it helps me and it helps them. But I got into coaching for the relationship thing. And the day that ends is going to be the time that I don't want to coach anymore,
yeah.
because that should be the true meaning of doing this. And I think so many people lose sight of that. But I know that's the same hunger, passion, drive I had at 24 as a head high school coach at Wheeling is the same drive and purpose I have here at 40. And it's just on a different platform. You know what I mean? It's just a different, and I'm probably a little wiser than I was then. And
Yes.
I just I want to pay it forward, man. This game's been beautiful to me, and afforded
Yep.
me so many opportunities that's what I want. But the lifelong relationships and people knowing, hey, Coach Clancy really cared about me. He made sure I was good. In life is far more important than championships and cutting down nets.
Well, now I don't have to ask my last question because you just responded.
Yeah, I
Um,
figured. I've watched a few of these things, so I figured that was just a segue into it. You know what I mean? That's how we roll.
yeah, that was good. It's 12:25. It's time for me to
You've earned a lunch break. I know you've had an
I'm
excruciating day.
walking to Costco. So this is
Yeah.
how I do this. I have a plan. So I walk down Clybourne. Boop, boop, boop,
Got
boop, 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 boop.
Get your steps in, big fella.
Yep, that's right. Then I go into Costco, I flash the ID, and then I do a trip around for samples.
Okay, nice. Nice.
And
Nice.
then after I get done with the samples, I make my way to the food court for the $1.50 hot dog and drink.
Dude, you can't beat the price there. You know what I mean? You really
Oh,
can't. You really can't.
I mean, I'm living a little bit crazy. I might go pizza and dog.
I don't know if that's good for the old ticker, but you know what I mean? You got to do what's best for you.
Steps,
Set the
bro. Steps. I'm
steps.
getting
You're
my
right.
steps in.
You're right.
Um, all right, bro. Well, th first off, thank you. I mean, you know how much I love talking to you. Um, it makes my day that much better. No Diddy, maybe a little Diddy. Um,
You're
but
something else.
I'm 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 something else. Is right. Um, I will be coming to Muncie with my friend,
You're always welcome.
My only
Yep.
friend, Jonah. Hopefully you can have some Ball State gear for him. Illinois only had my size.
Okay, gotcha,
I left
gotcha.
Champaign happy.
But nice. Well, that's good. We'll see what kind of swag package can fall off the back for Jonah. You know what I mean? I
Big
don't want to. He's maybe a future recruitable athlete, so we don't need any
that
improv. I'm
is
trying not to get fired in my first year either. You know what I mean?
Orlando Antigua, too late. Orlando Antigua already offered him a scholarship.
You already get good. He earned that. That's good. I love it. I love it. I think your kid's gonna be a football guy when it's all said and done. But I don't know.
Listen, man, I want him to just be great at whatever he does, be a
Yep,
phenomenal communicator like his pops,
yep.
and crush education.
I love it, man. I love it. That should be the priorities. But yeah, you're off to a good start. Hopefully, I don't get any more funny videos from him. About threatening me not getting on your Zoom. So I'm glad we got this squared away.
You aren't the only college coach who has had their had shit talked to them from a 7-year-old.
I love it, man. I love it. You're raising him the right way. So I love what you're
Yeah.
doing. Love your platform, and keep crushing it, man. And look forward to talking to you again.
All right, bro. I'll see you soon.
All right, later.
Bye.